We're live.
All right.
So we're here. And nice to meet you, Mike, by the way.
Nice meeting you, Dave.
Um, yeah, so the stream is starting because I saw you commenting in Mr. Max's stream just the other day, yesterday or the day before,
Mm-hmm.
and I was interested in what you were saying. And um, I guess if you could just kind of introduce us, kind of like what you were saying to me before the stream, just what you're looking for.
Oh, I, immersion is, for lack of a better word. I played a
Yeah.
lot of like Skyrim when it was out, and it became a
Uh-huh.
dirty word, but just being in the moment of the game, like like maybe Max said it or Crispy, I can't remember, but it's like
Hmm.
when you think back to your gaming sessions, you often refer to yourself in first person, like, I
Hmm.
remember when we did this and I did this, and that's when the
Hmm.
game is really running on full steam. It's like some there's times where I can just picture a session in my head, in my mind, and it's almost like watching a movie.
Yeah.
But it was just a bunch of guys and a few ladies sitting around the table, and like I
Hmm.
close my eyes and I can picture the scene, the characters, the setting, and it's just like a magic to that. um,
Oh
and
yeah.
you're creating it with friends in the moment. Nobody knows what's going to happen. It's better than reading a book or watching a movie because you have some agency and control of the outcome. um, it's just I Yeah, it's so much fun.
Oh yeah. I agree completely. And when I kind of I guess I'll say before I discovered 4D role playing, I was always thinking something's missing, something's missing. This isn't immersive really.
Hmm.
And but once I switched over to it, you can't go back.
Hmm.
It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
Um what mm, so I was kind of expecting like I'm gonna have to start from the explaining what 4D is and everything. It seems like you've been watching, Crispy and Max and stuff for a while.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
uh, yeah, at least 4 months now. I've been trying to catch up on some of their older vids. uh,
mm,
but I don't. In the evening, I have 3 games during the week, so I don't catch a lot of their live stuff. That's why I was
man.
excited the other day. I was like, "Oh, I finally caught a live show," and got the chance to comment and stuff like that. And but yeah, I like those guys. Uh, they get it. They get role playing, and it's really
They get
refreshing.
it.
They get it. Yeah.
Yeah, Grub's catching up. What's up, guys? Glad to see that some people are watching. um yeah, they absolutely do get it. And they're open to learning and we're always getting better.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. Um I guess I should start by asking wh- what does like a session at your table look like? Because I know you were saying like you're kind of struggling to get your players on board with it.
Uh, it depends on the group. Um, I'm in, like I said, I'm in 3 groups right now.
Yeah.
My face-to-face group, I've been with them 3 years now, um,
Hmm.
and it was more of a casual game. And it, as people get into role playing, they're really enjoying it, and I just want to like take it up a notch. Just try to cut out some of the what I want. I mean, it's a
Hmm.
collective, so I'm one voice in 7.
Yeah.
But but what I enjoy, like I said, what I enjoy out of it is being in the moment. And the more people get into that, I think the more they are enjoying it. And I've noticed over those 3 years, people really being invested in their character, investing in what the GM is, the world the GM is setting, Elias, and uh, they really like discovering their character and discovering other people's characters. Um, so I'm
Yeah.
enjoying that, seeing that come around. Uh, I'm like I'm the old guy at the table, generally speaking. In all my groups, I'm the oldest guy. I've been doing this since 1980, 81, on and off. I had a few years of
Oh wow.
hiatus where I wasn't gaming, no groups, or
Hmm.
I moved, stuff like that, military and school in Florida. I'm in Pennsylvania now. I was
Hmm.
military in the West Coast, so a lot of finding groups and stuff like that. But um,
Okay.
yeah,
You like the West Coast?
uh, I didn't see a lot of it. I was out to see a lot,
Uh. Okay.
um, but it was okay when I was out there. Late '80s. Uh,
Oh, I
yeah,
must have misheard you. You you're at the West Coast in the 80s. Okay. Okay.
yeah,
All right.
yeah,
Well, I was just wondering. But yeah, so I guess I don't know. I guess we should kind of talk about what 4D is. I know you've
yeah.
seen I guess you've seen it already, but I guess we just want to make sure we're on the same page. So when you're oh, Yakrip says thank you for your service. I agree. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Um so if I were to break down role playing to someone, not even mentioning the 4D thing, we have our conventions for 1D, 2D, 3D, 4D, but
Hmm.
just forget that for now. Just role play. Say where you are, what you do, what you say. That's it. It sounds so simple, right?
Yeah, as if you
um,
were that character.
exactly,
I think
right?
that's really important. Like again, Max and Crispy and Phil and Rick. It's I do this. I say this, or you know,
First person.
yeah.
Hmm.
I really like. I don't want to be too critical, but
Go ahead, go ahead.
it's just like I just want to. I wince every time somebody says like, "Can I do this?" or "I'm gonna do this," or it's just do it. Just do it,
Just do it.
and let the GM uh, adjudicate what happens, and just do it. And
Absolutely.
yeah, don't worry about the
Yeah.
mechanics. We'll figure that out after after you said what you're going to do. Oh, the GM calls for a jump roll or a skill check or whatever. Let the GM feed you the mechanics. But if you're looking at your character sheet for what to do, then I think you're missing the point.
Yeah, for
you know,
sure. Just do it.
just do it.
Just do it. It's simple. It's the natural state of make believe. It's
Yeah.
what you do when you're 5 years old in the sandbox.
Yep.
You
Yep.
pretend
We
you're
all
the
did it.
superhero. You say, I'm doing this thing.
Yep.
You're not asking for permission. Just
Yep.
do it. Um, and it's like you could probably think back on some of your favorite games. Like this was such an immersive moment. Just think, what if the whole game is that way? You're
Mm-hmm.
immersed the whole
Mm-hmm.
time.
Yep.
Hmm. And
I
then,
go ahead.
no, I was going to move on to something. So you go ahead.
Yeah, that's really the goal. I think is just to like for those 2 or 3 hours or 4 hours. You're just like that person in that world, and then when the session comes to an end, you're just like it's like watching a movie. Like it's the temporary suspension of disbelief. Like for 2 hours or whatever, you're watching this happen on screen, but
Hmm.
you're that guy on screen. And you're
Yeah,
deciding what you do, not some writer, and you're just passively watching this go by. It's you're you're making the decisions, and things happen out of your control. You got to let go of control. Um, you know, I'm okay with like this is my character, this is what I would do, but things happen. You know, you you know you don't have control over everything else. So just letting go you know, is a
absolutely.
big thing. Yeah.
I remember one of my favorite role playing moments is I was playing as like a Roman, I guess, like soldier,
Mm-hmm.
and the queen has a mission for me. I have to go like assassinate this priestess in the next city over, but this priestess is my friend, and she's helped me out, but also she is responsible for. It's kind of a hard to explain, but she's responsible for some people dying before as well.
Okay.
She's done good and bad,
Hmm.
and and the queen has tasked me. I have to go assassinate her, and then I'm thinking, I have to weigh it out. Am I going to support my friend or my country? Or what about my family? Like, what's going to happen to them? So my favorite moment there was I go home to my family. I have these two little girls, this wife, um, and I have to explain everything to her. I'm like, look, just sit down, sit down on the bed and explain to her what's going on.
Hmm.
And she's just in shock, and it feels real, like you like one of those military movies where the guy's
Hmm.
like, oh, I'm going off to war now, something like
Hmm.
that. And you
Hmm.
you feel like you're there.
Yeah.
You feel like you're there. You can see the scene panning out and everything.
Yeah. And those tense moments, like your heart is racing, like your characters would be.
Yeah,
It's yeah.
you're
It's
that guy.
yep. You're that guy. It's that temporary suspension of disbelief. You're just putting yourself in their shoes, and when they laugh, you're laughing. When they're tense, you're tense. It's a very
Hmm.
cool feeling,
Oh yeah.
and awkward. It can be awkward too. There's some things I have trouble dealing with as me, and then my character has to deal with it. I'm like, oh my god, how do I do this? But
uh
that's it's it's fun
it
at the same time. It's yeah. So,
I get a lot of enjoyment. Someone asked me yesterday, why do you play role-playing games? And I said, I get a lot of enjoyment out of pretending to be someone else
hmm.
and, feeling like I'm actually in that setting and doing the things that person would do. That's it.
Yeah, I have a ton of reasons. I mean, that's definitely the
Well,
one.
yeah.
I love bringing a character concept to life. Going from uh, concept to a fully fleshed 3D person. With wants, needs, desires, flaws. Flaws are so important. Uh, Setbacks, like all of that. You're again, you're kind of like a writer creating this fleshed out person, and then having that person interact with other people that have equally in-depth characters in a living world that the GM's creating. It's very cool. And then the social aspect of it. I
Yeah.
mentioned before, I have stage fright, so I'm really nervous right now. But
And me too. My
being
heart was beating before. I'm like, what?
but the social interaction with people, is really cool. Even if it's online, you're still dealing with people. Um, I think face to face is still the best way to game, but online is a good substitute when you can't do that. Um, yeah.
I think so. I think um I think face to face is better, but also I did hear someone say, he's like, you know what, we play online and we're so busy role playing, we're not even thinking about that there's this separation. It doesn't
Hmm.
bother us at all.
Hmm.
So
Yep.
I do keep that in mind. But yeah, probably in person is still better, right?
Yeah. Especially like I prefer camera on when we're online because I
Absolutely.
think body language is part of your character. Uh,
Yeah.
you could sit there and describe how you're acting and stuff, which how your character's acting or reacting, which is great. But just throwing in some uh, body language in there, it takes it to another level.
Oh yeah.
So
And yeah, I require it for my games. A lot of the 4D, I think every 4D guy requires it. But I can think of one game where um, something happened on my Discord and I couldn't see the other guy, and it slowed everything down. I wasn't sure if he was finished talking
hmm.
every time he spoke, so the video probably doubled just because of that.
Hmm. Yep.
So yeah, it's
Yeah. Sometimes I'm the
it,
only one with the camera active. Like the GM has his camera on
Yeah.
usually. I've got my camera on, and then one or two other people might, and then there might be 3 or 4 players, no camera on. I have no idea what they look like in person, and
Yeah.
not that that's important, but like again, like
Yeah.
my one character, uh, I typically play humans or human tangent. I like
Mm-hmm.
that old school feeling of exploring the world from my perspective, so
Mm-hmm.
that these different fantasy races are a little novel. I don't want to play. I generally don't play something
Yeah.
non-human, but right now I'm playing a rat folk in one game. Something I normally would never do, and I'm loving it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a cool character that he just came
Uh-huh.
around, and but
It's more
body
of a
language to me. Go ahead.
more of a challenge, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And body language is important because he's very timid, and I modeled him after one of the world's ugliest dogs. So he's very like nothing to look at. He's 2 foot tall rat with like missing fur and tongue sticking out and just and but I try to do like little mannerisms like when he sees gold, his fingers kind of I try to do stuff like that. I think it adds to the role.
Oh, it adds so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
I wish more. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I agree, Nicholas. When they don't turn the cameras on, yeah.
Yeah. To each his own. I don't want to shoo anybody, but I like seeing people's body language and stuff like that.
You
So.
you can't blame people for not wanting to be seen on the internet, but
Yeah.
it just makes the game so much easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys broadcast your games, or it's like
No.
just you guys? Okay, that might take a little pressure off, but I guess you guys were strangers before you started playing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
In my Tuesday game, I
Yeah.
met two of the guys in another online game that fell apart because of the GM. I won't go into that, but or 3 of the guys.
Sure.
I'm sorry. And so we started looking for another GM. Found our current GM, and added a few more players, and that campaign's been going over 3 years now, also. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it's coming to an end. That one's coming to an end, and we're going to start cool. a second campaign after that. So, and they're all really good guys. So it's really cool.
Broadcasting your game isn't necessary, though being able to rewatch it yourself is very eye-opening. Yeah. Even for like pickup games that I do, I'll record those, and like you said, uploading isn't necessary, but I'll go back and watch my games. Say, I can't believe I said that. Or like, why am I talking so slowly? Or I need to speak up. That kind of deal.
Yeah.
It's really useful. Really useful.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
Let's talk about the GM side of things. So when you're role playing in the GM is a role player too. He's role playing NPCs in the world. That's his job. And of course, he's got to be, he's got to set the difficulty checks and things like that. But he's a role player as well.
Right.
He'll say what NPCs do. I guess he'll be in third person. So and so says this, so and so does that. But he'll never say you do this. He'll never move the player for them. Never say you think, you feel. Let the player do that.
In 4D.
Yeah.
In most games, the GM does move the players around, and okay,
Yeah.
so you go down the corridor and blah blah blah.
But you get teleported.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. In 3D or 4D. Yeah. And I'll go into those probably later, but yeah, you don't ever want to move your players. You're just role playing the NPCs in the world. And you can insert pushes, which another word could be like encounter or a challenge. You can insert stuff into there,
Hmm.
but and there's different styles within 4D. At least for me, I want it to be about my player goals, and I just go out and do what I'm gonna do.
Hmm.
And of course, the other player characters are gonna interact with my player character. We're all gonna do, maybe we're all doing the same thing, maybe we're not, but it's about our own goals.
Hmm.
And of course, the GM can put things into it as well.
Hmm.
Um, Nothing wrong with that.
All right. Yeah, I was still in the chat where we met in Max's uh, stream.
Oh
It
yeah,
was
it
it
was the
was
push stream.
yeah. That's where I'm still trying to get used to their nomenclature and stuff like that. That's why I was
Yeah.
feeling out push versus nudge. Like okay, like I was saying, a
Ah
push
yeah.
is the GM being proactive as opposed to reactionary. Generally, the players act and the GM kind of reacts. Okay, you know this is what's in front of you. Uh, this happens or this happens, but a push is, in my mind, the way I'm seeing it, is the GM being proactive, where they introduce something
Hmm.
new or, just like the name says, pushes the players potentially in a new direction or continuing forward or back. Who knows? Whatever the push is. Whereas a nudge, where I just threw out the word nudge, where,
Hmm.
like I said to Phil, maybe it's just theme reinforcement. Uh, it's not necessarily pushing the players somewhere, but just kind of reestablishing tone and theme and stuff like that. That's how I'm seeing it. Like I said, I'm still learning their language, but yeah,
Yeah.
I like what they're doing. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And I try not to be making up new terminology all the time. I was just thinking yesterday, I'm like, oh, what if you have more session zeros? You could call those checkpoints. I'm like, stop making up words. We already have words for things. But on the other hand, a lot of role playing, despite having been around for, I don't know, 50 years, there's not a lot of good ways to talk about it.
Hmm.
And so you kind of have to make some terms. Um,
Yep. Yep.
Some people don't like 1D, 2D, 3D, 4D because it's like, oh, you're saying your style is better. And it's not necessarily a qualitative description, it's just a model,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yep.
Mostly what I want to tell people is just role play,
Yeah.
but the 4D model is very useful. Very useful.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. I like the way they set it up. I think it makes sense. Yeah.
so what are your thoughts on, I don't know, maybe you know already, I don't know, but what are your thoughts on the four dimensions, or how would you describe those?
Uh, well, I would describe it. The first dimension is strictly like essentially a board game, a tactical board game, war game. Um, so you've got your set of stats, and you got your opposition. They've got their stats, and nothing's really in character. You're just playing mechanics. It's just purely mechanical. Um,
You're you're already a little bit too advanced.
oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I might have to
no,
refresh my
okay.
my definitions here.
So 1D is the social aspect. Nothing wrong with the social aspect, but it's only the
Oh, that's
social
right. Beer and
aspect.
pretzels.
Yeah,
Yep.
beer and
Yep.
pretzels, getting together, making jokes,
Yep.
having fun. Again, if you like that, you like that, but
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
1D. And then 2D, like what you're saying, the mechanics. That's
Mechanics.
what I did for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
That's what most people do, I think.
Yeah. I 90+% easy. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Maybe not that, but yeah, a lot of games I've been in were that. Yeah.
And everyone says they're role playing, but role playing really starts at 3D and 4D. And that's the biggest jump from 2D to 3D.
Yeah.
Here, I'll let you continue. I kind of took over, but
Yeah, that's
what do you
okay.
what do you
3D
think
is
about?
a little more, I would say, far more passive. There's none of that co-creation really. I mean, maybe very minor tangential stuff, um, but it's a lot of GM narration, and then you kind of react, almost like a role reversal. I would say, like 4D is where the players are the proactive side, and the GM is more reactive. 3D, I think, is the other way around in my mind. The GM is kind of pushing everything along, and then the players kind of react, maybe in character, um,
Hmm.
but
I think you can be the proactive players in 3D, but I
mhm,
see what you're saying. Yeah,
yeah,
you're not going to
it's
make anything up on the spot. It's you're role playing, you're speaking in first person, but you might say like, "Oh, um, I look in the desk to see if there's scissors." Or 4D, you just say, "I open the drawer and pull out the scissors." Because it's an office desk. There's probably scissors in there. Fair
yeah.
enough. Um, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say another thing is the trying to get information from the GM. Instead of asking questions, you're interacting with the world. I think Max
Yeah.
in that last stream actually did it really well. Instead of asking the GM, "Are there scissors in this desk?" If you're
Hmm.
not going to make it up, you could at least say, "Well, in first person, I open the desk drawer and look for scissors." You know, and
Hmm.
then if you don't want to
Yeah.
co-create, at least the GM is prompted. Okay, there's a pair of scissors in there. You
There you
could do
go.
that in character without asking the GM questions. You're interacting with the world. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Let's see. Nicholas says an interesting observation that 2D may and often do contain role play, but
yeah,
it's not taken to its fullest potential.
yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you see uh, fleeting moments of it. Sometimes you see none of it. Sometimes you see some.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that's the parts you remember, right?
Yeah, yep,
It's a it's funny. Everyone says they role play and they bring up those moments, and it's just you just think, oh, that's cool. How would you feel if you could just do that the whole time, the whole 1 hour, 2 hours?
yep.
Um, and I guess we've kind of described 4D already with describing 3D. 4D is everything that 3D is, but you've got your co-creation.
Mm-hmm,
And each game and each table is going to do that differently.
mm-hmm.
Maybe one game you say I look in the desk and I pull out a pen. Another game, a character asks you, "Where are you going to next?" You're in a spaceship. They say, "Where are you going to next?" You say, "Oh, I'm going to the Klingon galaxy or something." Nobody knew that whole galaxy was there. You just said that, and you roll with it. I've seen that's happened. Someone invented a galaxy.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, you can go that far, but it depends. What
That's
depends what
a
you're
lot
going
of
for.
trust. Oop,
Hmm.
that's a lot of trust, and really throwing your GM. What would you call that? I don't want to say throwing him under the bus, but you just
And
put a big burden on his shoulders, maybe.
that's what it feels like I was very resistant to co-creation when I first heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, that's more of the GM's domain. Why are you getting into that domain? You're going to make it harder for him. But once you do it a few times, and you have, like I said before, you have boundaries for each game.
Yep. Yep.
But once you do it a few times, you realize this is the fun part. Uh, it's fun to co-create, and as the GM, if someone throws me something like that, I think, oh, cool. Okay, I'm gonna do that. I often I'll be
Yeah.
I'm like thinking, oh, I'm not creative enough, but this guy just said something. That's awesome. Thank you. You made it so much easier for me.
Yeah, yeah. I don't GM very often, or I haven't GM'd in quite a long time.
Hmm.
Quite a long time. I was mentioning that this Alien Chariot of the Gods that I'm going to try to run for my one group. Will be the first time in 20 years that I'll actually GM something. Um, but
Exciting.
I like the way Crispy says, generally, if you're uncomfortable with the whole co-creation thing, it is basically just resolution. The players are allowed to like
Yeah.
resolve, focus in on something and create it. So I don't want to have to describe as a GM the entire layout of like a control panel on the bridge. You know,
Hmm.
the players can say, well, okay, I'll walk over to the nav station, which is over here, and I pull up, coordinates for the next star system or whatever. That it's a nav system. It's on the bridge. That makes sense. It's just resolving detail. Like you're just zooming in on a little bit of detail. That's, I think, a good place to start if you're going to do that. That's where I'm going to start. Because, like you said, I don't think I have a lot of creativity either. I'm afraid when I run something that the player is going to throw something out there, and I'm just going to be like, what do I do with?
Hmm.
Because that happens to me in just playing a character. Something out of left field happens, and I don't know how to react. I just go blank. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
You
at
get
least
better at it with each game.
I was gonna say, at least as a player, you can just kind of like pass, to the next player or something. But as the GM, it's on
Hmm.
you. So
Yeah. I
it's
guess there's a difference there. It's
yeah,
funny because some games I'm like, oh my God, I'm flying by the seat of my pants. When I was really new, I was doing a no prep challenge. I don't know if you've seen those for the
I
first time. I was like, oh my God, what's going to happen next? I had no idea what was 5 steps in front of us the whole time. Um, and then other games I've GM'd, I'm like sitting back, relaxing. All the players take a turn. And I go, the rain continues to pour. And they keep going. I have nothing to add. I'm chilling. It's very easy sometimes.
yeah. Have you ever played like some of the GM-less games like Fiasco or anything like that? Or
No.
okay,
Do you like those?
um, yes and no. I mean, they're interesting. It's not something I would play a lot of. I do
Yeah.
like episodic campaigns where I can build a character and watch them grow and evolve and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
so, one shots I'm not too keen on. They're fine, but I like campaign
Hmm.
style things. So,
Hmm.
um, but Fiasco is depending on uh, I forget the mechanics, but you have different scenarios, and they each have their own uh, creations. Uh, there's usually tables. You roll dice, and you choose a couple of facets, and then you create links to the other players, and then essentially it's go, and it's just all impromptu, round robin ish kind of thing. And there's a dice mechanic where you can choose to set a scene or resolve a scene. If you set a scene, then somebody else resolves it. If
Okay.
they set the scene, then you can resolve it. And but it's interesting for just a no prep, impromptu kind of
Uh-huh.
exercise. And I've had some
That's
fun
cool.
games, but not my general cup of tea. But it's fun to do once in a while. Yeah.
Hmm. For sure. Yeah, I've heard people have some fun with it. Um, yeah, I've heard it described as a party game, I think. I don't know.
Yeah,
Would you call it that? Could be.
yeah. You could set it up in 15 minutes and play in depending on how short you want it. It's usually like a 3 scene kind of thing. So there are 3 scenes where everybody gets a turn for scene 1, everybody gets a turn for scene 2, and everybody gets a turn for scene 3. So you can get a game done in about an hour if you wanted to, with 15 minutes
Very
of setup.
nice.
So, yeah.
Speaking of that, one thing I like about 4D is the games I used to play would be anywhere from 2 to 4 hours,
Hmm.
and now I'm doing 1 to 2 hours.
Hmm.
That's it. Half. So it's twice as fast. I'm getting 10 times as much done
Hmm.
because there's no out of character chatter and things,
Hmm.
and I'm infinitely more immersed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in a 4D game, every moment is the game, the action at the table. Somebody's taking their turn with,
Yeah.
very minor, like, make an athletics check or, 12, Other than that,
Uh-huh.
everybody's in character taking their turn, and a turn is a minute, 2 minutes maybe. So, yeah. My
Yeah.
3 games now, they go 3 or 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And, sometimes when combat breaks out, you might get 2 or 3. I've had sessions where, like, the game starts with the game ended the session before with roll for initiative. So
Mm-hmm.
this session starts with initiative and combat, and the 4 hours was 3 turns at combat, and 4 hours
Woo!
later you're done. And some of that is the scale. The one game we're in the teens now, and there's like 8 people, 8 players, which is really big, especially for online. And then
Oh man.
to challenge that, the GM's running, a dozen NPCs. So
Ooh.
it's a lot. It's a lot. I mean, it's fun,
Man.
but for an hour and a half, you're like,
Yeah.
you're paying attention to everybody doing their thing, and then you're like, oh, okay.
Like,
My
oh, I
turns
get to play again.
a
Yeah.
minute or two, and then it's another hour.
Jeez. Go up and
But
do laundry and come back.
but that's
Man.
your typical RPG game. If you go to any stream online, that's how it goes. So, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to get away from that. I want to get into just being in character all the time.
Yeah.
And
For sure.
yeah.
Man, that 8, 9 players, that would be hard enough in person. But
Yes.
online, that's another level to it.
Yeah.
Do you have like push to talk or something like that? Or it's all the mics are open?
Uh, Most people are really good about not speaking on when it's not their turn. Some people mute.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually not a problem. I haven't had that become a problem in any of the games I'm in, except for
Oh,
the
okay.
side chatters that break out. Something happens. Oh, remember this book or this anime or this movie or this show, or it's just like, okay, here's 2 or 3 minutes of somebody discussing a book or a movie that this reminds them of. Okay, now we can get back to the game. So,
Yeah.
and it's cool. Like, I open my doors. I try to open my doors depending on work. Like an hour before game. I welcome them in. I got refreshments, beer or whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
let's get the chatting out of the way. Let's get warmed up, and so that when go times, when we're ready to game, that we can dedicate to that. I would love to do that, but
That's a very good point that a lot of 4Ders don't talk about that much is food. Because we're all online pretty much.
mm-hmm.
But if you're doing a game in person, you let everybody eat and drink first, get that out of the way. So one, it's not during the game, so don't have to worry about that.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone's in a better mood after they eat.
Mm-hmm.
Get some pizza, beer, water, whatever.
Yep. Yep.
Everyone feels better. They're at ease. You get all the wiggles out or whatever you call it.
Yep. Yep.
It helps a lot.
Yeah.
Helps a
Yeah.
lot.
And it helps you focus. It gets the the glad handing, the chit chat out of the way. Catch up. You haven't seen everybody for a week, and
Mm-hmm.
do
Yeah.
all the catch ups then before game, and then when the GM says okay, and everybody's ready to go. to me that would be
Yeah.
ideal. That would be awesome. But,
Yes. And it is a social thing. That's not a bad thing that it's a
yes.
social gathering. That's not, we're not against that, but we like to talk before and after,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
or maybe a
Let's do the
break if
one.
it's a long game, but yeah.
Yeah. Let's do the 1D an hour before game. The beer and
Yeah.
pretzel stuff. Let's get that out of the way. You can talk about what happened last session with your characters, and oh, this was great when you did this. If you don't do it after the session, you know.
Mhm.
I get up pretty early, so by the time session's over, I'm spent. I got to get up in like
Oh,
5 hours.
yeah.
Sometimes, it's just rough,
Hmm.
uh, especially with this heat. It's killing me. But let's let's get that done before the game session, and then when we're ready to go, we're all on the same page.
Hmm.
Yep.
Absolutely. Um, you s- you said you're into three things, like role playing and like faith and conspiracies. Is that
Mm-hmm.
it?
Those
Yeah.
three things are the most interesting to me. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a lot of religious people in the 4D. I guess we don't talk about it that much, but um, I could I'll go ahead and send you an invite to our Discord if you like. We
Sure.
have an off-topic channel. You can talk about your conspiracies there if you want.
Okay. Some of the major conspiracies combined, scripture and conspiracy. It's a big rabbit hole, and
That sounds
um,
fun.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
But
well, make a stream on it next week. I'll be watching.
this is my first
If
public
you want.
appearance, so I generally just watch YouTube. I don't
Yeah.
jump in, but yeah.
Yeah, you're fine. Not everybody has to be making videos.
Yeah.
Um, oh, you play Mithras, right? Or you want to?
I haven't. I picked up the book a couple of years ago. I read through it. I'm excited about the system, but it is crunchier than some systems, many systems. But I really don't like leveled systems where you just become this
Yeah,
hero, like this,
yeah.
superhero. I like really grounded systems. Like I loved GURPS. I've done GURPS in the past, several different kinds. Just the whole superhero thing doesn't appeal to me. I want
Hmm.
grounded people, and Mithras I think really plays into that.
It's grounded.
One or two blows and that could be it. It's down to skill, not just this bag of hit points that somebody has to blow through.
I really like that. Your skills matter. Um, if you get someone with a impale or with a trip or something, that's
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah,
They're not gonna wait till they're all hacked up.
yeah,
They're gonna they're gonna say, wait. I had enough.
yeah. I mean, uh, I'm trying to think of a movie example like Troy, Hector and Achilles battling it, that showdown. Like to me, it's hard to replicate something like that in D&D. Yeah, okay, this miss actually hit and it took off this many hit points, and no, I don't like
Yeah,
that level of ambiguity so much. But
I don't either.
they're trading blows, they're blocking, they're parrying, and all of a sudden one hit like changes everything. That to me is grit, and I like
Absolutely,
that.
I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah.
And some will say you should be able to. Some would say like that. Crunchiness gets in the way, and you should just be able to role play it.
Mm-hmm.
And I can, and I do play in some. I'll play in some, what do you call it, rules light games.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier to organize and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like there to be some mechanics to support what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know, it, a lot of games, a lot of D&D like games. If you're playing a warrior kind of character, you've got an attack button that you mash.
Right.
I'm like, what am I doing here?
Yeah. I've been in a couple rules light games. A long time ago, a friend of mine was homebrewing a game he called Fluid.
Okay.
I haven't spoken to this guy in a long time, Scott Lesher, if you're out there. But your character was essentially a 3x5 card with your name, uh, a general like occupation or description, and 5 characteristics, and that was it.
Oh, okay.
And the mechanics were playing cards, and every time you tried to do something, does it fall under one of these 5 characteristics? Can you apply that to this situation? If you can, you get another card. I might be misremembering it, but
Hmm.
so you could be like I was playing a kind of like a Malcolm Reynolds clone from Firefly, um, and so I put like
Is
gunfighter twice because he was really good at shooting. I had like I can't remember now, but if it came to shootouts, I could draw 2 more cards to add to my hand, and hopefully win that way. It was a very rules light system, but it
uh
made sense. You know, it was just a storytelling type system, but um,
there you go.
yeah, I mean, you could do it with almost anything. You know, as long as there's a good
Hmm.
resolve mechanic and people role play. I mean, that's really all you need. But I also agree with like Mithras, where it's, you know, what part of the shield do you hit? You know, like what part of the body is your shield covering? That's, you know, you can get that minute with mechanics, and that could be interesting as well, as long as you know the system well enough that you don't have to constantly look things up. You know the system, and okay, this is covered. This
Yeah.
is covered. Somebody throws dice. The other person knows what that means. You know, and keep rolling. Keep the mechanics as minimal as possible.
Yes,
Yeah.
you can. It is a bit of a challenge. I'm going through a Mithras game. Uh, it's just I'm the one player, so the GM and me. We're
Yeah. Okay.
going through it. It's online, 3 sessions so far. Um, when you're just out in the world doing things and you have a random skill roll, of course that's easy. Just roll it and narrate. We got to some combat and it was a bit more of a challenge. I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking, okay, I'm gonna say what I do or what I'm trying to do. Then I'm gonna roll. We just roll our dice at the same time.
Okay.
Roll
Good.
all my dice. Okay, and then of course the other guy's rolling his dice,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm thinking, okay, I got a higher level of success, so I'm gonna choose a special effect. And I'm trying to remember, like, do I need to narrate now or do I need to? And I lost my cheat sheet, so I'm looking in the book. You have to have a cheat sheet. You have to.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, I worry I gave a bad impression on how that game goes in 4D because of that. But after the game, me and the GM did some practice combats, just like 5 short little practice combats. We wrote out a flow chart, like
Mm-hmm.
narrate, roll all your dice, and then you'll say roll endurance. Look on your cheat sheet real quick, say roll endurance, and
Mm-hmm.
then pass or fail, and then you narrate tripping the guy or stabbing the guy or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it gets a lot of flack for, oh, that's so much. But I think we're gonna get it down on our next session, and people are watching are not even gonna realize. They'll see a few seconds pass. They'll see like they'll they'll see they're gonna wonder what's going on in our minds because they're gonna see like 5, 6, 7 dice on the screen,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, okay, I stabbed. you know,
And it's like anything, practice. You know, practice makes perfect. Uh,
yeah.
so yeah, the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. You know, like I said, I've been role playing a long time, and I'm still learning stuff. You know, this whole 4D concept was like really cool. You know, I was watching this stream last year. before I stumbled upon Crispy's channel.
Mm-hmm.
Eclipse is what it was called, and it was
Eclipse.
Mothership, the system,
Mm-hmm.
which is in my mind very close to the alien mechanic that I'm going to run. And it's just 6 people and the GM on a screen, and they just stay in character. They say what they're doing, and there's no maps. There's a little map where so the warden, the GM can keep an eye on where people are and everything like that. But that's it. There's no battle map. There's no very little outside of character dialogue. Occasionally they have their they get stuck on something. No big deal. You just work through it real quick and continue on. But I think they did a really good job. I really liked it.
Very nice.
And then I stumbled upon Crispy, and they started codifying the rules and um, uh, the nomenclature and stuff like that. And I was like, yes, 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 yes. So yeah. I'm
Oh,
excited.
okay. I'm still here, by the way. I just got
Okay.
a Amber Alert, and it messed everything up on my.
Uh-oh.
Here we are. Okay. You said the mothership game. You said the channel was called Eclipse.
Eclipse. Yeah.
Eclipse. There's.
Um,
I don't know if it's Eclipse or not. There's this guy. He's recently joined the Discord, and he runs mothership games.
okay.
He's kind of new to 4D, and I think he's like slowly getting his players to try that.
Okay.
Yeah. He has
Yeah, I
very
can.
good production quality.
Yeah, I can shoot you a link afterwards if you want. You can check it out. They have 3 seasons. First season was great. Second season was okay. I haven't made it to the third season yet, but they're doing 4D essentially before I knew what 4D was, and I was like, yeah, this is awesome. So
Very nice.
yeah.
Very nice. You ever heard of Shauner?
I have only because of Crispy's channel, I guess it was, or Rick, 28mm Gaming. I forget where I saw it, but I checked out his channel. I saw a couple of vids, but he
He's
passed before.
hilarious. Yeah. I never, well, I got to talk with him once through a comment. I came on his channel, and well, I watched a video of his rather,
Mm-hmm.
and he was saying, never say you, never tell the players you walk into here or you smell something. I was so confused. I'm like, because he said, what are you doing? You're just role playing for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's essentially what you're doing. I didn't get it. I was like, it's not role playing for them. You're just describing the scene, you know. And I was getting all mad and stuff.
I didn't understand. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, and he told me, "Well, you're not interested in role playing, are you?" I got so mad. I unsubbed. Eventually, I came back. I knew something was there, and I found other channels that helped me understand a little bit better. And then, but as abrasive as he was, I think I needed to hear it like that to get it.
Yeah, I didn't understand that at first either. I was like, well, yeah, if you're a GM and you say, okay, you see this, blah blah blah, whatever it is, you're like, maybe they don't see it. Maybe their back's turned. Maybe they're not looking at it. Maybe they're thinking in their head about something. So you can't say you see this. Really, as a GM, all you can say is the corridor stretches 20 feet into the darkness. And it's up to the player to say, okay, I see the corridor now. I'm facing the corridor. Or, I open my eyes or whatever the player's going to do. So it took an example for me to understand that don't use you when you're just as a GM describing something.
Absolutely.
Just, yeah.
If someone says you see something, I'm going to say, I'm turned around looking the other way. Because I get tired of that.
Yeah. Yep.
Getting mad or perplexed at Shauner is a canonical or canon event. Yes, a rite of passage for us all. I wish I had under come to an understanding sooner because I never got to talk with him.
Mhm.
But man, anyway,
Yeah. Yeah, I'll have to check his channel out more. I've just been so much on my plate at the moment.
oh yeah,
But,
I just put it on in the background because he's got like thousands of live streams and videos.
okay.
It's like a you'll never run out. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, what other games do you like? You like Mithras mainly, or
Uh,
what do you play?
well,
Mothership.
that I like. Lately, all I've been playing has been D&D, fifth edition. I didn't play
Hmm.
fourth. I played all the stuff from basic when I first started, expert, advanced, second, third, 3.5.
Okay.
I tried all kinds of different games. Wheel of Fate, Burning Wheel, GURPS, the Chaosium, like Call of Cthulhu,
Hmm.
uh, uh, Cyberpunk. I played a little bit many years ago. I just picked up Red a couple years ago. Their I forget the name of their system. Uh, it's D10 plus a D10 stat plus a D10 for your skill. I like that kind of idea. Um,
Okay.
Mithras, and then I picked up some box games, starter sets, the Alien, Blade Runner, Twilight 2000, which I don't know how I'm going to run that in 4D if I ever do, because it's a combination of role play and like strategy, like battle map kind of large scale
Oh,
stuff.
okay.
That's going to be a
Uh-huh.
little tough if I ever manage to get there. But
I've never played the Alien RPG, but I looked
mhm,
it up. I'm interested in that. Maybe I'll play that one of these days. I
yeah,
love Alien. Watched all the movies. Um, and
I
I like dice pools. I mainly
yeah,
my favorite's D100, but I like dice pools.
okay.
Elegant.
I chose it because it is, relatively speaking, rules light. Um,
Hmm.
so I'm hoping that will lend itself into the 4D aspect. I haven't picked up Easy D6. I know, like Crispy and Phil and Max
Hmm.
really like that. So I'm probably going to end up picking that up as well, just to see how that goes. I did watch their 4D session with that, so it looks pretty decent.
It's
Yeah.
funny because my thought is I want a system that supports with lots of mechanics and things. I'm not that keen on Easy D6 or Shadow Dark or things,
Hmm.
but yet that's mostly what I'm playing. It's very easy to set up, everyone can learn it like that, and then once you play, you're like, oh yeah, we role played so well.
Yeah.
So you don't necessarily need the uh, crunchier system, but I
Yeah.
do like it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm in my 5D game. I think that's easily 3D, 4Dable as long as people know the rules and they're paying attention. They know when they have advantage or disadvantage. If it's a battle map kind of. Unlike those guys, Crispy and them, I really do like a battle map. I cannot keep in my head where everybody is relative to everybody else, and maybe it doesn't make a big deal, if you just kind of hand wave some things, but
I
uh, I still have that crutch. I really do like it, even if it's blank, you know, even if it's just tokens on a grid, just so I have something I can refer back to other than my memory of what's going on.
I
Uh,
think I understand what you mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I can imagine why you'd want a battle mat. You're playing D&D. Uh, it's online, and you've got what 8 players, 8, 9,
yeah,
and then a lot of your abilities. It's like 35 feet, 60 feet, 45
yeah,
feet, things like. Yeah,
yeah.
makes sense. When my home group first started playing D&D, we didn't have the battle mats yet,
Mhm.
so the DM was always thinking, it was Theater of the Mind, I guess is called.
Hmm.
And he's thinking, okay, this guy's 35 feet, this guy's 15 feet, this guy's all in his head, and he can't remember it. So I understand that.
Right.
Thing is, though, so far in a 4D game, all the 4D games that I played, which is, I don't know, a dozen maybe,
Hmm.
um, measurements like that have not come up. We say if there's a guy in the same room as you, of course you can shoot him.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know, where you want to be in the ideally you want to be like looking through your character's eyes. It's like the
Hmm.
holodeck.
Hmm.
So if
I
there's a
guess.
guy across a football field, I'm trying to hit him with an arrow. I just say that I try it.
Hmm.
Um, if that's too far for my arrow, GM will say your arrow is cut short.
Hmm. That's another reason why I want to do the Alien Chariot of the Gods for my first 4D experience, because it's on a ship. You know, you're limited to rooms and corridors, and
Oh yeah, yeah.
so it'll keep things intimate, cozy, and you don't have to worry about range and everything. You can just uh, you can 4D. I think that very easily, and I will probably have, like, the box set came with a large map, so I might just have like little tokens, 2D tokens, just
Hmm.
so everybody knows where everybody else is at. If they end up splitting up, splitting up, or
Yeah,
sticking together or whatever, so I could at least have a reference point. Okay, this guy's in engineering, this guy's on the bridge, that kind of thing. But as far as an actual battle map, no battle map. It'll all be theater of the mind. So
hmm
I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try it and put the crutch in the corner and try not to use a battle map, uh, and see how it goes.
that sounds fun.
Yeah.
Sounds fun. Um, Whenever I play, we always get split up, and I always end up causing problems. I'm not trying to be that way. I don't know why, but my character is always getting into something,
Hmm.
making it hard on everybody.
Well, as long as you're not doing it just to f with people, I think that's fine. I've had
Yeah,
some
that's
players
never
that
the reason.
they just
Yeah,
wanted to throw a wrench in the works just because they thought it would be fun. Like just
yeah,
to do it. It's like, I mean, that's not really role playing then. You're just being a contrarian. You know what I mean? So there is a difference.
absolutely.
That's
It's
why
it's it's that level of high trust that we were mentioning before.
yes, yeah. It's why I'm just doing what my character would do, is maligned because of some people like that. But
Have you seen that meme where it's the bell curve? You got this absolute idiot on the low end of the bell curve. He says, "This is what my character would do." In the middle, you got this like whiny guy saying, "No, you have to consider the other players and this and this and that." Then at the top end of the bell curve, you have this genius, saint or whatever. He says, "It's what my character would do." Yeah.
yep, yeah.
Hmm.
Then that's,
That's what we're
well,
about.
yeah. You need that level of trust though, that you're not going to have that contrarian in the group, that idiot. Yeah,
Ah,
yeah. As long as everybody,
absolutely.
that's where that session zero and the uh, what's that document Crispy put out? Um, I can't think of
Is
it.
it is it recently?
It's the, oh my god.
Is it the manners document?
It's the rules.
The rules.
Oh my god, what's it called? Game conventions. Um, Conventions and table etiquette. Uh, so that kind of help. I don't have to worry about it with my players. Everybody's really cool. I think everybody's on board. But
Yeah.
my fellow players. But if you're running pickup games or picking up players online that you don't know, you would definitely want to include
Absolutely.
something
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
this, and to weed out those contrarians and people there just to wreak havoc.
I a lot of people will have we do a social contract, which isn't the best word for it, really.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's what you're saying, the etiquette
Mm-hmm.
listed out and everything,
Yep.
webcam on, no food, good internet connection,
Mm-hmm.
keep your turn short,
Yep.
round robin, stuff like that. Um, and like you said, you don't need to be making a new social contract every time when you're with the same players.
Right.
We will do like a session 0 every time because
Yeah.
we like to make our characters together
Yep.
and you know discuss what the setting is
Mm-hmm.
and decide what game it is, what system, all of that.
Yep.
But yeah.
Yeah. Session 0. I mean, I'm trying to remember when I first heard that. It's, I want to say relatively recently, probably the last 10 years or so. We never did that before. Like
I think
it
it's
was just,
newer. Yeah.
yeah, whoever's running, he's just like, I'm gonna run this, and everybody's like, okay, and we all just made characters, but it was very 1D and
Hmm.
2D. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah. I very much appreciate the change in the mindset when I switch over because before I was a dungeon master and I'd say, "This is what I'm running." I'm talking to my home group, saying, "This
mm-hmm,
is what
mm-hmm.
I'm running. You can join or not join, but this is what I'm doing."
Yes, yep,
And you can still do that, but now we'll put up like a post. This is kind of what I'm thinking. A few people will be interested. We'll have a session 0, and we'll work on it together.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So it's
Yeah,
co-creation even in the session 0.
right, yeah,
Uh, Someone was saying yesterday, it doesn't need to be called a session 0. You just call it like game setup or something,
yeah.
or whatever you call it.
Session 0 is just shorthand.
Starless Knight, nice to meet you, Starless. Session 0s are super integral to having a better game overall, in my opinion. Oh yeah,
That's my GM from
absolutely.
my live game on Thursdays.
Oh, okay. Hi, Mike's
Yeah,
GM.
Elias.
Glad to have you here. You said Elias?
Elias,
Okay.
yeah.
Nice to
Hopefully
meet you,
he's okay
Elias.
me mentioning his first name. But yeah, he's
Yeah.
a really cool dude. Yeah. But yeah, very integral. I mean, especially nowadays, people have to know what they're getting into and what's allowable and not allowable and stuff like that. So yeah. Like some people don't want the grit that I like. They want a high fantasy, like my character will never die, and like, oh, okay, if that's what you're gonna run, then.
Yeah.
But and that may turn off people or whatever. But yeah, knowing what you're getting into is definitely the way to go.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think if I were to play D&D, I'd be like, guys, let's just like be level 1 or level 2 and just stay at that level. I'd do something like that.
Because you like the grit.
I like the grit, a little bit of realism.
Yeah,
I don't always do that. I'd be fine with a super powered thing. Um, Even then, I'd be like, let's not do 0 to hero. Let's just play level 15. You know, that
that
matches the tone of what we're going for. So let's just do that.
that's exactly Elias there. He just ran a level 15. We had our, I think we were fourth level when that campaign kind of ended abruptly. We had a couple of player deaths, and the party just kind of fell apart. And we did a little interim thing, and then he's like, "Okay, I want to run at level 15." And so we all created a level 15 character. Some of us brought in old character. Well, we all brought in essentially old characters that we upped to level 15, and it was a lot of fun. It was great.
Oh, that's cool. You used old characters. I've
Yeah.
never done that before. I'd like to one of these days. Um, they were some of the guys were talking yesterday, saying they finished a campaign 7 sessions. That's all they needed, 7 sessions. They said maybe one of these days we'll go back to it and take it a different direction, and maybe they'll do 7 more or something.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, One thing the guy I was talking to yesterday, he brought up was I don't. He says he doesn't really want to play in these multi-year campaigns because after a few sessions, you've explored that character and you're done with that.
Oh, I could so disagree. Um, my Tuesday game, I had a character, and this is some advice for those new or even not new. If you're getting into role playing, do not clone something. An arc. Don't clone a character that you've seen in a movie or read in a book. It never works. uh, I tried cloning a character from a TV show, and I just
Hmm.
could not feel this character. We played for a couple of months, and
Man.
I kept trying to pigeonhole this TV show character into this guy's game, and he was gracious. He's great, and it just didn't work. I couldn't feel it, and I finally like abandoned that idea for the most part, and
Hmm.
made that character my own character. And to this day, it was one of my favorite characters. It became my favorite character because it wasn't a clone, and I could
Yeah.
explore that character. And it took months for that character to, for me to find that character and who that character was. Months. So
Uh-huh.
to explore a whole character in 7 sessions, I just disagree. He, he's
Well, yeah,
entitled to their opinion, but like I said, months it took me to
yeah.
feel out that character and find out who that character was and have that character's voice in my head. Like, what would this character do in this moment?
Hmm.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, maybe saying you explore a whole character in 7 sessions is not the best way to say it. Because you're right, yeah, you wouldn't.
Yeah.
Um, I was kind of thinking when he said that to me, I do want to try. I don't think I want to do a multi-year, but I want to see if I could do like a 1 year campaign or something.
Hmm.
And I don't know, but if it ever gets to where I'm like he finished his arc, not that we're
Hmm.
planning arcs, but if he finishes his resolution or whatever,
Yeah.
I would have a little mini session zero, a little check-in or checkpoint, and say I'm thinking of taking him in this new direction, not planning what he's gonna do,
Hmm.
but exploring a different aspect of that character.
Yeah.
And then you've
Just
got a few more months with that character where you're focusing on a different aspect, or like you bring in his family or a secret backstory or something,
hmm.
and you're focused on that. Yeah,
Yeah. A new goal for that character. That
new goal.
they completed that goal, that arc, whatever it was. Personal development, rescue their family member or whatever it was, and now that's completed. Season finale, and now the next season is a new complication, a new goal. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, perfect.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Speaking of family, I always think a role playing game gets better when you think about who your family is.
Hmm.
It's not going to come up in every game,
Hmm.
but the games where you have somebody to worry about and care for gives stakes to everything.
Yes. Yep. Again, a fully fleshed out 3D person, not a lone wolf. That's even Batman had Alfred. Somebody he cared about. I'm not into the superhero thing too much, but
Hmm.
even the lone wolves have somebody that they care about. But yeah, family. You know, love interest. I love. How do I word this? I'm okay with adult themes, romances and stuff like that but I don't want to like role play sex or anything like that. It's
Yeah.
up to the moment, fade to black. That's cool. But
Yeah.
to have that relationship uh, with another player or an NPC or whatever, it's another aspect of humanity. You know. Um, in one game, in Elias's game, another character, another player, and my character, uh, we had roughed out a kind of romantic interest, and it didn't work out because he had to stop playing. But actually, one of the highlights to me was like, how do I word this? One of the scenes I can picture as if it were a movie was between those two characters. Something happened. It was during a combat, but it was an action, and how I portrayed my character reacting, I can see it like it was a movie, and you know,
Mm-hmm.
completely innocent, but and then the action continued, but it was just like, oh my god, that was so awesome.
That's the best
You know,
parts. Is that
yeah.
the human, the human
Connection,
part,
yeah,
connection. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Someone, I don't know who said it. They said the only thing worth writing about is I think they said human experience. That's that's always the best parts. Well, what
Yeah,
is human experience? That's everything, I guess.
yeah. I was gonna say that's quite a lot, but no, I think I get the gist of what they're saying. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Um, you know, love and hurt and pain and uh, longing and rejection, just what we go through as humans. I mean, it's yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
That's the good stuff. That's the
That
stuff we feel that through the character.
yep, yep.
We're not being crazy and hallucinating and thinking it's real, but you do feel a bit of that emotion when you're playing it.
Oh yeah,
It makes you can visualize it more when you're emotionally connected to it.
yep. It's it's no different than watching a movie and like when there's an action scene happening and you're just like kind of on the edge of your seat, or when something sad or touching happens on screen. There's a couple of
Hmm.
chick flicks I really like where I
Hmm.
maybe get choked up. Don't tell my wife, but you're feeling that you're empathizing or sympathizing. I forget which one's which, but you're you're connecting with that character that's on screen or in a book. And when you're role playing, I think that feeling is amped up even more because it's you, quote unquote,
Yeah.
doing that.
Now,
And that you're not just a bystander watching. So
yeah.
yes,
Now
definitely,
watching,
you're doing
you're
it.
doing
Yeah,
it. You're
and
living and experiencing it. Yeah.
there's somebody at the table or online who's reciprocating. There's a give and a take. It's the human experience through proxy, maybe. I don't know.
I guess
It's
so.
yeah, it's yeah,
That's what it's all about.
yeah,
I just like
and
to tell people I like to pretend to be someone else.
yeah,
But that's a simple way. But your way is a good way of describing it.
yeah,
The human experience through proxy.
yeah. It's escapism. Man.
Yes.
It's maybe the number one reason I would say for role playing. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's escapism through engagement as opposed to spectatorship. Um, what's better than that, So,
Well, what if we're all just there to have fun? We're having a good time.
that's
We're
cool
not
too.
worried about. Yeah.
Yeah,
What if
but that
so? What would you what would you say if someone says the only thing that matters in role playing games is that everyone has fun?
you have to define fun. I mean, if you like a beer and pretzels game, I have no problem with a beer and pretzels game. Like,
Hmm.
but I'm there for that. I'm there to just socialize and roll some dice.
Mhm.
But when I want to role play, and when I have invested hours to building this character, not just the character sheet, but who that character is, I want to
Uh-huh.
explore that with other people that have that level of intensity, and
Yeah.
and how they intermingle. Is there friction? Conflict is drama. So if everybody's getting along, yeah, that's great. But it's great when there's some kind of conflict. Uh, Things don't go smoothly. It's interesting,
Oh,
and
that's my favorite part.
yeah,
I just
yeah.
I I usually play a guy that's has not intentionally, but has a little bit of me in him and is a little
Mm-hmm.
bit pleasing, like wants to get along.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the last game I played, I just chose to play this absolute bastard. It was so fun, so cathartic. Yeah. But yeah, the conflict, that's the good stuff.
Yeah, yeah, and
Absolutely.
yeah, it doesn't have to be like swords drawn all the time. It could just be two different ways of looking at things. And do you? I mean, that character was mentioning with the love interest, it was initially one-sided. So there was this kind of,
Hmm.
and you mentioned a bastard. She was a drunk
Hmm.
and uh, a social. Uh, she didn't like people. This was D&D, and she was a ranger, cleric, um, monster hunter, essentially. And
Okay.
she just didn't like dealing with people, but she had a good side, so she would kind of try to do the good thing. Just and where was I going with this?
She's kind of rough around the edges.
Rough around the edges, and there was conflict with her personality, and it was interesting. I thought it was interesting. Other people, I think, thought it was interesting, and
Yeah, that's the
um,
good stuff. Not
yeah.
necessarily the Dark Lord the DM has prepared for you at level 20. Some of the good stuff is here's another example. I Someone told me yesterday. There is a bandit encounter,
Okay.
random bandit encounter, and like the players, they hit one of the bandits with an arrow or something, and the fight just stops there. Or no, they injured him or they killed him. I don't know. But the fight just stops there. The bandits all huddle around him. They're like, "Oh my god, what'd you do? You killed him! Oh my god!" And the players are like taken aback. They're like, "What?" And they decide. What do they decide? They're like, "Oh wait, these are real people," you
Uh
know.
huh.
And so they decide to just they teamed up with him or something. It's funny how that worked out.
I had a similar thing happen in a game. We got attacked by random bandits. It seemed we killed two, and
Hmm.
then a very similar thing happened. They were like, "Oh no, John, I forget the bandit's name, but they stopped fighting
Hmm.
here. These were like starving people that were resorted to thuggery just to put food in their mouths, and we kind of felt bad for them, and it humanized the bandits, and it was an interesting take. You're just again real people,
Hmm.
in real situations. Real. I keep saying real, but you're pretending these are real people in real
Yeah.
situations, and do you just slaughter all these bandits even though they're starving? They're not a challenge, and
Hmm.
they have a starving child at home. Like, what do
Yeah.
you do? What does your character do? What kind of
Hmm.
character did you create? Did he just not care and slaughter them, or oh man, these are people too? Yeah, I mean, there's
Yeah.
again way better than a movie or book because this is all happening and it's you've got agency and the outcome isn't determined. That's the cool part about it.
Yeah. In your role playing, there's never just a random encounter. There's never
Yeah.
um, everything means something.
Yeah.
You know. I should probably call it here. My battery's getting a little low.
No worries.
I'll have to save more battery for future streams, but it charges very slow. It's charging while I'm streaming, but it doesn't.
Okay.
Anyway. But anyway, it's was super nice to meet you, Mike. I'll
Good talking to you, Dave.
yeah. And your GM, Starless Night. I'll go ahead and send you a invite to the Discord.
Cool.
And
Awesome.
yeah, I hope to connect again or play a game
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
All
Definitely.
right.
Keep in touch. Maybe I'll see you in one of Max's or Crispy's streams. Or
Yes, sir. All right. I'll go ahead and end the stream here.
All right. Take care. Good night.
Take care.